that right? Moderate.
All right. And
And then we have Matthew Murillo, correct? And what is your rank in your troop? He is a Star Scout. And believe me, in the few minutes I've got to talk to him, he's just a star. So thank you for doing this evening. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Buddy, and it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, good evening and welcome to the Double Oak Town Council Candidate Forum sponsored by the Cross Timbers Gazette. I'm Dr. Buddy Bonner, as noted, and I will be the moderator for this evening's Candidate Forum. I'm here with Max Miller, publisher of the Cross Timbers Gazette. Cross Timbers Gazette is Denton County's largest newspaper, mailed over 60,000 homes and businesses each month, including every mailbox here in Double Oak. Local lives here. You can also stay up to date on the latest Southern Denton County news online anytime at crosstimbersgazette.com, and please follow us on Facebook, X, or Twitter, and Instagram. Tonight's forum is being live streamed and video recorded by the Town of Double Oak on the town's YouTube channel, and you can also watch it on demand anytime at crosstimbersgazette.com. Before we introduce the candidates, let's open with a word of prayer from Mayor Pro Tem Mike Gwartney.
Pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. Thank you. We ask you to give them all wisdom as they talk tonight. Lord, thank you for this town. Thank you to the Gazette for what they do. Lord, just watch over us and guide us.
Amen. Thank you, sir. And next, the Pledges of Allegiance by Matt Murillo. Thanks, Matt. Would like to welcome and introduce the Double Oak Town Council candidates. We have 6 candidates running for 3 at-large seats. The candidates are seated in the order they will appear on the ballot. First, we have Jaquelyne Barrow, Janet Robertson, Dr. K, Mark Dieterich, Ginger Brittain, and Jean Hillyer. Ms. Hillyer, Mr. Dieterich, and Dr. K are all the incumbent candidates tonight. Each candidate will have 1 minute for an opening statement. After the opening statements, I will ask the candidates questions submitted by residents. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question, and we will also have an optional 30-second rebuttal period after each question. Finally, there will be 1 minute for closing statements at the end, and Mr. Murillo, Matt Murillo from Boy Scout Troop 99 in Lantana will be our timekeeper. We will begin with our 1 minute opening with Ms. Barrow.
My name is Jaquelyne Barrow. After living in Flower Mound for 17 years and raising our 3 kids there, my husband Jeff and I made the move to Double Oak in 2013, 11 years ago. We are a multi-generational household, as many are in Double Oak, with my mother Joanne living with us. We are so fortunate to have her with us, and she loves Double Oak just as much as we do. I mean, how can you not? This town means different things to different people, yet the one common theme that everyone agrees on is how friendly this town is, how neighbors look out for one another, how well our police and fire departments take care of us. Walking down the road here, it just takes a wave and a howdy, and that stranger you see becomes a friend. That's the Double Oak I know.
Ms. Robertson.
Hi, good evening, and greetings to all of you that have joined in person and to those of you online. My name is Janet Robertson, and I'm thrilled to have this opportunity to introduce myself as a candidate for Double Oak Town Council. With a deep-rooted passion and for community engagement and a genuine desire to make a positive difference in the lives of our residents, I stand before you with a commitment to serve and represent your interests. I've been happily married to Brandon Holsworth for 13 years with 3 amazing stepchildren. My family and I have been residents of Double Oak for over 9 years now. We truly cherish the traditions and the deep sense of community pride that make Double Oak so special. In my professional career, I'm an industrial engineer by degree. I have over 28 years of experience in information technology. I'm currently the Chief Information Officer for a company based in the United Kingdom, but I'm officed out of Fort Worth now. I was previously corporate CIO for Raytheon Technologies and a senior executive for AT&T before that.
Dr. K.
Dr. Long.
All righty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Khourschid Favero. I am currently on the Double Oak Town Council. Today I come before you not just as a dentist or a small business owner, but as a voice for the countless individuals who yearn for a government that truly represents them, a government that listens, understands, and acts with integrity. In my dental practice, I have heard the worries and hopes of my patients, reflecting the broader challenges we face as a society. As a small business owner, I have navigated the complexities of our economy, understanding firsthand the struggles and triumphs of entrepreneurship. But beyond these roles, I've also dedicated my time to volunteering at my children's school and at our church. Through these experiences, I have seen the power of community and the importance of investing in the next generation. It has taught me the value of collaboration and the impact that grassroots efforts can have on shaping our neighborhoods for the better. I pledge to advocate for the citizens of this town and their interests as it relates to lowering property taxes, but also working to improve the infrastructure of Double Oak, from roads and drainage to streamlining and improving our town hall. But beyond policies, my commitment is to honesty, accountability, and integrity. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Dieterich.
Yes. Thank you, everybody that came out tonight. I'm Mark Dieterich. I've been married to my wife, Tina, for 26 years, and we have 2 boys in college. I live in Double Oak for almost 18 years now, and my family traces its roots back to the Texas area. We chose Double Oak for the small town charm. I was a member of the Double Oak Fire Department for over 12 years until I had to have knee replacement surgeries. I've been with the current employer for almost 28 years now, serving customers, large data networks in lead positions, and have certifications in network security. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Cal State Fullerton in computer science. I support the area and environment by doing local volunteer work for 4-H and other organizations, and I'm a local beekeeper supporting honeybee management, local education, and honey. I even presented to the Double Oak Women's Club. As a liaison to the IT committee, I've supported city projects such as sound system upgrades in the pavilion and in promoting an internal project to help protect our investment in the electronics in City Hall. That is in progress. I wish to see our rules and regulations brought up to date and promote local businesses along the 407.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Brittain.
Hi, everyone. I recently celebrated being married to my wonderful husband, Gary, of 14 years. Upon our marriage, I became a member of a Texas founding family. It is my desire to carry on what the Brittain family started in 1974 by establishing the town of Double Oak with a strong history of service to this community. I'm a Texas girl, born and raised. Upon moving to Irving, Las Colinas area, I began my work corporate career. First with Michael Stores, Inc., second the Associates, 3 Alliance Data, and finally with JP Chase. With these positions, my knowledge, experience, and business aptitude grew. The knowledge has also played a significant role in serving my community, serving as Double Oak Town Council member, officer of the Dallas-Fort Worth Culture Council for JP Chase, president of Ranch View High School Athletic Booster Club, and extensive volunteer work for Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD. As I answer questions tonight, my knowledge, my strong commitment to serve, and the positive impact I'm going to have on this community will certainly show through.
Thank you, ma'am. And we'll conclude with Ms. Hillyer.
Thank you, Max, and the Cross Timbers Gazette for sponsoring this forum, and the citizens of Double Oak for attending. I'm Jean Hillyer and have served the citizens of Double Oak on town council for the last 2 years. At the beginning of my service to Double Oak, I came in with an agenda based on information that I was fed that proved not to be valid. Realizing this, I elected to do my own research, consult with experts, knowledgeable town staff, and experienced citizens to make decisions. 22 years of experience at IBM in sales and marketing, excelling in the art of complex multi-million-dollar technology deals, has served Double Oak well, enabling me to work with vendors and businesses that provide services to Double Oak in a fiscally responsible manner. I've lived in Double Oak for 11 years with my husband, Dave, to whom I've been married for 30 years. I've been a member of the Roads and Drainage Committee and the Technology Committee prior to being elected to Double Oak Town Council. As a member of the Town Council, I continue to be actively engaged in the Roads and Drainage Committee, the Technology Committee, and served as liaison to the DOVFD. I was a recipient of the Mabra Award for my work on behalf of the DOVFD in 2023. I'm dedicating my time, talents, and energy
Thank you,
to
Ms.
working on
Hillyer.
behalf of Double Oak, the town that we all love.
Thank you, Ms. Hillyer. We will begin with a question and answer format. Some of our questions tonight were submitted by local residents. Each candidate will have an opportunity to answer. Each question will be limited to 1 minute, so keep your eye on Matt, please. To answer the question, we will also allow for an optional 30-second rebuttal after all answers have been provided. Questions will be asked in rotating order, and we will start with Ms. Barrow for the first question. The town recently paid for a comprehensive drainage study. What role should citizens play versus the town in mitigating these drainage issues?
Double Oak is basically a watershed area. I know very few residents who don't have drainage problems on their properties. As residents, we need to follow the ordinances, codes, and laws that are set down by our town in order to regulate the drainage in our properties, not to impede the flow and to help our neighbors downstream. These are private issues. Sometimes neighbors don't get along and then they become civil issues. This is quite contrary to what the town is going to be responsible for as part of public areas with our drainage issues.
Thank you. Ms. Robertson?
I believe that we've got a shared responsibility as a community, both the town and the citizens and our neighbors, to really look into the study. I think that's part of the reason that we did the study in the first place, is to really understand the nature of the problem, how the water flows, what we've got impeding it. And I believe that we're going to find a joint solution where we all work together to get the right answers and who's responsible for what. I don't think it should be contentious. I think that there's a way that we can work together to make sure that we get the work done as a community for each other to benefit everybody part of the community.
Thank you. Dr. Kay?
Yeah, so the drainage study, we're still waiting for the results for that. But I know for sure we have to work, from the bottom up. So we have to see what the data is going to say and examine, what is the town's responsibility and what can the citizens do to help each other as well. So it's going to be complex. I hope we have a lot of input from the citizens so we can find out what, is really, when hopefully they'll be able to see the presentations, and we're going to have open forums too for them to come in and ask questions, and then we'll be able to, get to a solution between the town and the citizens and try to come up with the best for everybody.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Dieterich?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. Thank you. The town recently paid for a comprehensive drainage study. What role should residents play versus the town in mitigating these drainage issues?
All right. So, as it was noted, that it isn't back yet, but what the citizens can do, the big part is that we have a questionnaire going out. This questionnaire is actually by the front door here in the town hall. And if you have issues, we need to know about it. There's areas that have issues, there are areas that don't have issues. And we need the input from our citizens to determine what they see, right? We will get this study and it'll be the study reality, but we need the input from our citizens on what they see. It might have been missed. Right? There may be things that they need to do on their property, and there may be things that the city needs to do on their property. But we really need input from our community on what they see so we can go from there.
Thank you. Ms. Brittain?
Yes, I'm going to take a slight different approach to answer the question. We spent roughly $88,000 was allocated for this study. It is going to be a large and complicated study. If I was on council, I would not hesitate to reach out to Hafford Associates with questions to help me understand the study as well as the residents. I would ensure that the communications to the residents is in a format which can be easily understood for them. And I'm sure there's going to be cost evaluations indicated on this study, and that should be stated clearly to the residents by the council. Major decisions could and will be made based off of these recommendations. It is an imperative that the council member fully understands every aspect of this study so they can appropriately help the residents define what their needs are, who to go to, and answer their questions accurately.
Thank you, Ms. Brittain. Thank you. Ms. Hillyer.
I was on the council a year ago when actually this study was approved. And while I think citizen input is absolutely essential in terms of how the town elects to address a study once we all have the results and have a time to evaluate those, I think one thing that hasn't been discussed much is the need for citizen education. For example, when my husband and I moved here, nobody said anything about the fact that we were responsible for our bar ditches, for maintaining those. But that's part of the town ordinances. I think citizen education as part of this whole drainage study and the results presentation needs to include education for our citizens in terms of what their responsibilities are. As a member of the Roads and Drainage Committee going around town, I've seen a lot of our ditches that haven't been maintained, plugged, or totally non-existent, which contributes to problems downstream from that. And another issue that's going to need to be discussed is the cost to the town for fixing our issues.
Thank you, Ms. Hillyer. At this point, after each question, we'll have an opportunity for any rebuttal, 30 seconds, and we will just do that at random as you prefer. We're not going to go in any order. So does anybody have any rebuttals to the first question? No? Okay, very good. Well, then we will proceed to question 2, and Ms. Robertson will start that, and we'll commence accordingly. Ms. Robertson, what do you believe your role is as a town council member, and what is your collective role with other board members as a team?
My responsibility first and foremost is to the citizens of Double Oak to raise their concerns, to bring them to the agendas and to the council. So as the citizens of the town bring those concerns or issues up, it is my first responsibility to be the voice of the citizen. Secondly, the collaboration and working with other members of the town council as well as the mayor to help bring those to resolution. Make decisions. I think the responsible spending and the budget is another very top priority for a council member. I believe my experience managing $100 million budgets for big corporations makes me qualified for that role and responsible spending. And I think that the collaboration to create that with other council members is first and foremost priority.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Dr. Kay?
Yeah, for 100%, we need to be able to work together. The town council needs to, we have differences of opinions, and those can be, said in a very professional way. But we do need to work together. We have liaisons for different committees, and we all come together, and we should be able to discuss all these things. As a business owner, I look to the town administration and how it's being run and how to better streamline it and also make it, more efficient and be able to do all the things that the citizens need our town hall to get done. And so in that way, that's a lot of the questions I get from citizens come from not knowing how to do certain things. And hopefully, if we can get town hall a little bit more organized, then they'll be able to answer the questions that the citizens will then have in getting permits or whatever else, their questions are for, fixing up their homes and things that they have concerns about.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Dieterich?
Yes, as a member of the town council, again, I'm the voice for the citizens, and for me to be their voice, I need to hear from them. What's going on in your life that the town council can help. And all of us, again, need to work together to make that ends. The collaboration between the different members is limited somewhat because we can't have more than 3 members talking. There can only be 2. So that kind of limits the collaboration just between a couple people because of the rules that we have to go by. But working together on all of the items is really necessary, and listening to the other members of the council during the meetings is imperative also. So again, we're here for the citizens, and we need to hear what the citizens say, and come and talk to us during the meetings, before the meetings, and after the meetings. We need to hear from you.
Thank you. Ms. Brittain?
I believe that the role of a council member and mayor is to provide the best possible action and decisions for the residents of the town of Double Oak. Yes, our main priority is to serve the residents of Double Oak. You don't need to think alike, but you need to think together, I think is an excellent motto, as well as be open-minded, not only on one track. It's okay to disagree in order to create better ideas and decisions for our town and for the residents. And as a council member, you should have strong values, good character, good morals, and with these combinations, that serve as a foundation for good decisions for our town and our residents. I think it's also important to have open lines of communications with the town residents so their thoughts can be heard. It's extremely important that we hear from the residents. That's why we're here, is to serve the residents. Sharing all the facts and positive communication helps the town understand.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Hillyer.
I'm a large advocate of fiscally responsible spending, and that means looking at the essentials for the town first as a priority, since we're mainly supported by property taxes, which nobody likes seeing going up, along with our property values. I'm certainly a fan of collaborative work in meetings, because as Mark mentioned, we have to watch out for the quorum issues. It's important that we have council members with different points of view, because as we express those and deliberate, which is what council members are supposed to do, deliberate, to come to the best decision for the town, because no one council member always has the best answer, the best idea for what's right for the town. So we need that. Certainly, as others have mentioned, we need to listen to citizens. And that means when citizens come to town council meetings and express their wishes, instead of just listening, we actually need to listen and act on those things. I'm not sure that we've done a good job of that. The other thing is I believe that council members, at least I do, rely on facts and data.
That's our time, Ms. Hillyer. Thank you. And we'll close this question with Ms. Barrow.
To provide good, honest governance on behalf of, and to work cooperatively and respectfully with other members of council, town staff, the Double Oak Police Department, the Double Oak Volunteer Fire Department, for the benefit of our town.
Thank you all for that. Are there any rebuttal items for this question? Okay, very well. Dr. Kay, we'll start with you on the third question, and it is, do you support current staffing and compensation and benefit levels in town administration and the police department per the annual review and merit process? Would you propose any changes to either department?
I think that we have some changes happening with Eileen, our town secretary, retiring. So there are going to be some changes, and we want to try to bring in a town manager. And that would help to, have the structure for town hall, which would be great. I do think that we pay well. Our police officers are paid well, and I'm always for merit-based. You should be rewarded for the good work that you do. And it's, if you just give it, the same thing to everybody, then it doesn't really mean anything. So I am an advocate for the review system that we've implemented. And I hope that it can bring the level of, expertise for our town hall to a higher level.
Thank you. Mr. Dieterich?
Yeah. As far as the compensation, I think we're compatible or comparable to the local small towns in there. So I think we're good there. We did give everybody raises this year. We provided that in the budget, and those raises were based on merit. And also, we've also changed the review cycles to kind of be the same. It was all like on your hire date, it was a big mess. And so they're implementing that now to be at a time after the budget was approved, so everybody can get their raises right then. For the fire department, things like that, we gave them last year we gave them a 15% raise. And then this year we matched that again. So we have there. So I think that all the compensation is fine. We're comparable to the local communities around us. And so I think we're doing good.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Brittain?
Can you repeat the question, please?
I would absolutely love to. Do you support current staffing and compensation and benefit levels in town administration and the police department per the annual review and merit process? Would you propose any changes to either department?
I do support the evaluation on merit, a comprehensive review that's informative both from the person holding the review and the employee that it's being reviewed of, that they have an avenue to review it, discuss it with their supervisor, the mayor, whoever that might be, and have input on that and come and know where they stand, what the job expectations are of each of that. I think our salary range is fair. We can always do better as far as other avenues of our employment, budget, insurance, compensation, benefits for our town always need to be looked at on a long-term basis. Those can increase over time based on our insurance. But also as well as, making sure their job description and expectations are clear, provide additional training to help them do their job better in whatever capacity that is, along with the proper tools and updated equipment, software, et cetera.
Thank you. Ms. Hillyer.
I certainly support the current staffing. I think it's appropriate the way it is, given the fact that our town is mostly built out with the exception of one 24-acre property. Pretty much. I do support the staff. However, I disagree on one point. Currently, our patrol officers are paid in the bottom quartile in the competitive regional area, and there is a national shortage of patrol officers and police in general. And that makes them ripe for being poached by other communities. So while we have a full force, fully staffed right now, I know that there was a period of time where we were seriously understaffed, which had a negative impact on the safety and security of this town and the residents of this town. So I think it's essential that the town work with staff to maintain the certifications and that each job description and the evaluation reflects the duties of that position. And potentially there's some work to be done there.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Barrow?
I think that what we provide our staff and our police department as far as compensation for insurance is adequate. However, as someone who sits on the other side of the dais, out there in the audience, I was very surprised during the budget talks about our medical insurance being as transient as it is. It is not the same from one year to the next. And I can't imagine, or yes, I probably can. No, I can't imagine the hardships that puts on our employees. And I think that's something that should be addressed.
Thank you. Ms. Robertson, you close us out here.
Thank you. I have looked at the budget line items and some of the structure of our current town. I think that some changes that have been proposed as far as a town manager will definitely help increase our efficiency. I think there is some modernization that should be done around some of the benefit structures and evaluation of the compensation and the staffing levels based on that merit structure and the performance evaluations. We've all been part of communities and businesses where we had goals set at the beginning of the year. We're measured against our goals. I'm excited to see that our town council is now doing that for the staff and running our town like a business. I think we have some areas that we can definitely increase that efficiency, though.
Thank you, ma'am. It's our rebuttal period. Any items that anybody wants to address? Okay, very good. We'll proceed then. Mr. Dieterich, you're up first on this next question. There is a tract of open land for sale at the corner of Farm to Market 407 and Simmons Road. What do you feel is the best and highest use for this property?
Well, at the moment, I have bees on it, so I think that should be the use for it. But we really need to look at this in reality. For the sale of it, I think it would be really good if we could get some businesses in there. I've seen the original the plan they have for it now is for homes. And if we can get some more businesses in there, getting some more revenue coming in, we can use that revenue to offset taxes for our community so we can lower our taxes even more. So if we can get more business, I support all the businesses along the 407, but if we can get in that track, get some businesses on there, get one on the corner and have the rest of it homes or something like that. I think that would be the most benefit from that property.
Thank you. Ms. Brittain.
I believe that this particular piece of property will attract commercial use. I would look closely at the proposed types of businesses to determine if they fit the culture of Double Oak. If it was purchased by a commercial or a business entity, the proposed business would have to be vetted by our P&Z committee in order to meet current zoning ordinances, or if exceptions would be needed to be considered based on the type of business and the structure, how many, and so forth. I was on council when the property was purchased where Brahms is now located, and I'm very familiar with this type of commercial approval process. So if that turns out to be a viable purchase by a commercial entity, I would be well-versed to handle that particular transaction.
Thank you. Ms. Hillyer.
As has been mentioned, it's really the last large plot of property in Double Oak that's available that could be commercially viable, although it's currently zoned for ag. I think whatever ends up there, certainly attractively would be business for the revenue it would potentially cast off, but it also has to reflect the Double Oak family-oriented values. So we have to be careful about what comes in there so that we don't have traffic and other problems. We also have to consider revenues from the development, the impact of traffic that would result from that. Since we are a well and septic or Cross Timbers water and septic community, they need to probably get water from Lantana, so that would be potentially a gating factor in what went in there. And obviously, we would need to consider drainage, since that would potentially have an impact on Caruth Estates. So there's a lot of gating factors in what would happen with that property.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Barrow.
I think as stated before, it's very important what kind of business, retail, or commercial that we put there on Simmons and 407. That's obvious. And also the fact that we are going to have to think about the utilities very carefully, because we're going to have to ask Lantana for that. That can also be a stumbling block. I've talked to the landowner about what she wants to do with that property, and she has certain ideas. Something that I did early on as a young adult in our first home in a master plan community in California is we put together a collaboration, and I think we could do something similar here. So if all the parties were interested, I think that a collaboration of the landowner, the town, and the real estate developer could possibly come up with a plan to encourage a profitable retail development there.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Robertson.
Thank you. 407 is a busy road, and I think that a residential neighborhood right up against it is probably going to be less attractive. So definitely a business and commercial space. Would we like to see a higher end type of a business environment on that space? I believe so. I think it's going to draw a lot of great tax revenue for the town, and we would like everyone has also mentioned, it to reflect the values and the type of space that we want to have for the town. So a higher end retail development establishment, some restaurants, I think would be a strong presence for that space. Of course, taking into account utilities, facilities, and drainage, but definitely a prime location, and be happy to help work on that collaboration and for the development itself. Thanks.
Dr. Kay, you'll close this question out. Thank you.
Great. I think we have done a great job with Brahms, and every time you drive by, it's so packed over there. So it's a great thing. It's really exciting to see what that will bring in for Double Oak. So once we can get those numbers and we can start, analyzing those numbers and seeing what exactly that's going to bring in for us as a town, and we can see how that's going to impact our citizens and how we can maybe offset the property tax with that. But I would highly want that area that you're talking about to be, restaurants, family-friendly restaurants, because restaurants, they pay sales tax. So you really want to have those kinds of businesses in there to help offset some of our burdens of the tax in our town and help pay for things. So, but of course, whatever we can do to, enrich the lives of our citizens.
Thank you. For this question, any additional comments or rebuttals? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Brittain.
Not necessarily a rebuttal, but just as a side note, Brahms purchased that property 2 years before they intended to build on the property. So also, as another side note, we talk about generating tax dollars off of future businesses and entities. We have to look at not every product, not every business we gain sales tax from, which is true in the current shopping strip that we have on 407 in Chin Chapel.
Thank you. Any others? Okay, very good. Let's see, Ms. Brittain, you'll start this question. There's often contention during election season. If elected, what will you do to bring the council and residents together?
Well, as I stated earlier, the role of a council member and mayor is to provide the best possible action and decision of the residents of the town. I believe opening lines of communication with the town residents so their thoughts can be heard is extremely important. Sharing all the facts and positive communications helps the town to understand what is being discussed and presented. And again, we don't have to think alike, but we need to think together to form the best solutions to come to fruition for our town. It's highly critical, imperative that this council works as a cohesive team to serve the residents as their top priority. Otherwise, the accomplishments or the achievements for the council or the mayor will not be productive.
Thank you. Ms. Hillyer?
I'm a facts and data girl. I found that researching the facts and getting the data helps me remove emotion of personal best interests and better focus on what's the best decision for the town. I really think that we need to focus as a council on the fact that we're a deliberative body. We're not here to rubber stamp what somebody wants. We're here to ask questions and really debate what's best. And if we come at it from different angles, which we are capable of doing, or hopefully we are, we can arrive at the best decision for the town. So I'd like to see more collegial discussion and focus on what's best for the long-term health. Work to build more consensus in the council if we can, and do that based on the uniqueness of Double Oak. In other words, we need to be who we are, not try and be like somebody else that we aren't.
Thank you. Ms. Barrow?
I think it's important that to be able to overcome those issues, we need to elevate the discussion that's going on in the town council. We also need to focus on the issues that are important and necessary for Double Oak, the town and the people here. We need to be able to look at all sides that are being presented and weigh and measure all sides. Remember, being right is not always easy. No, I didn't say that right. Doing the right thing is not always the easy thing. And also, it's very important not to get sidetracked with minutia. We need to focus on what's important, and that's for the best things in Double Oak.
Thank you. Ms. Robertson?
You know, as much as people want to pretend like emotions don't exist, they really do. I've worked multi-billion-dollar mergers and acquisitions, and everybody says, focus on the execution, the task at hand. You can't do the task if the people don't trust each other. Without organizational change management and relationship building in a high trust environment, nothing's going to get done, no matter how well laid out or well thought out the plan is. My philosophy is we have to build the trust. We have to build the trust with the community, between the community and the council members themselves. In order to get the best laid plans done, to get to solutions, and to get to a right laid plan, even the best laid plans don't get executed if people don't trust each other and they don't have the relationships in the high trust environment. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. K.
I agree with the fact that it's troubling when it's election time, and there's just contentions and you just kind of feel it. And I don't like it. It's not a good feeling. Nobody likes it. I don't think that the citizens of this town like it. And I think that we can be better than that. I think that we can all conduct ourselves in a professional way. We can talk up what we can do for the town, and that's it. We don't need to talk about the other things that might be discussed. We have to remember we're all just volunteers, and we're just here to try to help our town. There is no power moves or anything that is at hand here. But I do. One of the big things I do want to focus on is the unity and collaboration of Double Oak. I really want to forge a path forward where the citizens and the town council and everyone can be unified in a better way than it is currently.
Thank you, ma'am. And Mr. Dieterich, if you'll close us out.
Yeah, I think that, we need to focus on positive communication within the city to build our town up and not tear down others. And we have a very diverse, that's not the right word, diverse, that's the right word, diverse idea base within the town and the council. And that's a good thing, right? We need to be able to focus on ideas and communicate in a positive way. But we're not going to always agree. And I think everybody's, agreed on that one too. So we need to focus on what we agree on first, and then we can work out what we need to on the things we don't agree on and whittle that down to what's best for the community.
Thank you. So any rebuttals or further response on this? No? Okay. Candidates, we're about halfway mark. We have done 5 questions. We have 4 more. So hang in there. We'll start this one with Ms. Hillyer. Thank you. If you received a $1 million grant to use for the town any way you wanted, what would you do with the funds and why?
Well, since it's for the town, I can't go on a cruise. Actually, I am very partial to the town. Probably my first stop would be the fire department. I'm aware of the fact that they do a fabulous job of maintaining their equipment. However, at some point in time, I am aware that we may need a new fire truck. And those run about $750,000 fully outfitted. So I'd stop there to see if where they are in that process and if one's coming up soon. I would also look at funding a second siren tower in the north end of Double Oak, because I know a lot of residents up there don't always hear those when the warnings go off. It's been a topic of discussion in the 2 years off and on that I've been on council. And sans those two going anywhere, I would certainly look at having that committed to either the Kings Road project or one of our drainage projects. Both of those are going to be extremely expensive. And we want to keep taxes low, so that'd be where I put it.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Barrow.
The money that we have on our balance sheet is adequate for our town. It's not excellent for our town. So I would always say set aside a portion of that $1 million to that so we can increase that budget. Then I would probably look very carefully at the Kings Road project and our drainage project and set aside the rest of that money, those monies for those projects. Because like what Ms. Hillyer said, they're going to be very expensive. Let's not joke around about that. If this town decides to move forward with the King Roads project, we're going to have to look at how much it's really going to cost us. If this town decides to move forward with any other projects projected in the drainage study, they're going to be very expensive. And we need to be very careful about setting up a fiscally conservative way to save that money.
Thank you. Ms. Robertson.
I think that you guys are going to hear the same roads and drainage a lot on the $3 million grant. Yes, both of those projects are going to be incredibly expensive, but our town is too pretty to have a whole bunch of potholes in all of our roads and standing water and blocked roads when it rains a lot. So I think that's where I'd start. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. K.
Now, this would be just if I had complete control of the $1 million. I would probably put the whole thing towards drainage. I would do whatever I can to make sure that all the citizens really had their drainage, everything up to par. So if we got to, whatever we got to do, and partly might be if we had that extra money, that we could do a little extra for the citizens. So I'd put probably all of it towards drainage, just because I think it's a big, big problem in Double Oak.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Dieterich.
I think the first thing we need to look at is the requirements on the grant. We've been offered grants before, and they have required changes in lot sizes, changes in the community, and changes in the way Double Oak is set up. And we rejected that. So if it didn't have all these stipulations on it, then I think from there, and many people said, and as Janet has said, Kings Road, it needs to be looked at. That's going to be very expensive. And where's that money going to go and come from? And again, like I went before, and for our drainage, this study is done and it's working on it, but we need input from our community. And so where that would go to be the most efficient on the placement and where to put it, hit the big things first and maybe the little things and take care of themselves.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Brittain.
Well, as a former council member, I have a couple of hot buttons that we always had to address. Roads would be my first target. Maintaining our roads has always been an ongoing challenge. Each year, we have to make decisions on what streets have the most needs, then making our budget dollars go as far as possible in order to repair, maintain as many selected roads as we can. In 2023, we were able to save close to $100,000 by bundling mill, overlay, crack, seal, and more of this type of thought process will be needed now and in the future. There will always be a need for ongoing maintenance for roads. So during our budget process, this line item itself will require sound, effective, super attention by council to make sure the right decisions are made for this funding.
Thank you, ma'am. We are back around to you, Ms. Barrow, for the next question. With the retirement of Eileen Kennedy next month, what qualities would you like to see in the new town administrator?
Oh, that's an excellent question.
Outstanding.
So are we talking about a town administrator or a town manager?
The question, I'm going to read the question again,
What do
okay?
you do?
With the retirement of Eileen Kennedy next month, what qualities would you like to see in the new town administrator?
I think it'd be important to have a town administrator that's going to be able to work with all of the staff, be a real team leader, be able to present in front of the town council, because I assume they're going to be sitting in Eileen's seat taking notes since we're not going to have a town secretary. So, and I hope that they are friendly and welcoming to all of the townspeople that come into our town hall asking questions for any number of various reasons, the way that Eileen has always been.
Thank you. Ms. Robertson.
I think we can take a lot from Eileen's resume and transfer it over, but I believe too, we need a people manager, an experienced face, someone who has a lot of experience in town government. Someone's looking for a leadership position to organize, to really run the business of the town, taking some of the responsibility from the volunteers and the council and the mayor and really running it as a business. I believe that we've got some accounting requirements that I think would be great to see, certifications in budgeting and town management, bookkeeping, and excellent note-taking. So I think presentation and note-taking skills. So we've got a big shoes to fill from Eileen, but I think that there's a good list of great qualifications for that next role. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Kay.
Yeah, so I definitely believe that we need a town manager. I think managing people is one of the hardest things anyone can do. Sitting in front of a computer all day just worrying about yourself is one thing, but being able to help and understand and have empathy for everybody working underneath you is important, and we need some accountability in the town hall. So definitely someone with strong organizational skills, great note-taking skills, and someone with a lot of experience, hopefully coming from a different town, maybe even a bigger town than ours potentially, and just kind of any kind of feedback that they can give us on how we can run things better and more efficiently. That's definitely one of my big priorities for town hall.
Thank you. Mr. Dieterich.
Yeah, I think we need a town manager, and this person would need sound business skills and principles for the economic environment that we're in at the moment. and budgeting and organization. They need a sound education on management processes and have the experience to back that up. And this person needs to have excellent communication skills, be organized, be able to see and help see the future of the town and where it needs to head, and be able to set a plan to get it there.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Brittain.
I agreed with this position that it brings a lot of value to the town as far as structure, management skills, and so forth that's been mentioned by each of the candidates here. I think the one thing that we're overlooking is the certifications that a town secretary has. University of North Texas has a program for a town secretary that provides the level of different certifications that are needed to understand the rules, regulations, meeting protocol, the filing of documents, running elections, how to look at these items, where to go, where to find them, as well as continuing education along those lines. And as a reminder, at the last council meeting, when this was brought up, the notation was made that the salary for this particular position would range anywhere from $90,000 to $130,000. So again, that is another item on our budget that we need to look closely at, along with the excellent skills, qualifications that we'll need for this position. And hopefully a committee will be formed to do this interview process.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Hillyer.
I would look at for strong management skills, and some of that's going to be based on talking with current and former employers. I'd want someone who would look forward to serving in a servant leadership manner. Somebody who works well with the staff and the citizens. They need to be outgoing. Hopefully they won't hide in their office. Strong budget management skills. Obviously, we've got some significant financial commitments to Kings Road and to drainage coming, so we're going to need some perspective on that to drive those. I'd also look for someone with strong project management skills. It's one thing to conceive of a project and another one to see something complex through to the end. And I'd also want somebody who either has or would be able to establish strong working relationships with our county officials and members of surrounding communities.
Thank you, ma'am. Opportunity for rebuttal. I think I missed that on the $1 million question. My apologies.
That's fine.
We good? Okay. Next question is for Ms. Robertson to begin. Double Oak's finances are in good shape, but if the economy heads into a recession and revenues drop, what actions would you propose to maintain our low property rate?
Well, I think we talked a little bit about attracting businesses in some of the build-out areas around town. I believe that we're operating right now at a surplus. I think we should continue operating at a fiscally responsible manner. We've got a lot of flexibility in our spending from what I've been able to see from past budgets. But if revenues drop, I don't really see, our house values significantly going down. The economy is looking pretty strong. We've right-sized a lot of our levels. Our property taxes keep going up because our values keep going up, really not our tax rates. So I think that we're in a really strong position. We've got flexibility and we have a surplus and a reserve. So we seem to be in a really good financial position. I'd like to look deeper at some efficiencies that we could further take into our budget.
Thank you. Dr. Kay.
Well, I'd say some people would even argue that we're in a recession right now. So maybe it's a good sign that we are in a surplus during this time. The home prices haven't dropped, though, so that might be the only exception to that. But I would say, other towns, they definitely take on debt. We don't. And I think that's the biggest thing for Double Oak is to just continue that path of not taking on any debt and just working from the surplus. And then also, we make quite a little bit of money, a little chunk of change on the interest from that. So, and I know Eileen was pretty good at looking around and checking the interest rates and everything and making sure we're getting the best bang for our buck on that. So it just adds little extra things. Of course, it's hard though, and if you're in a recession to get businesses to open, but if we could, that would be wonderful. Great way to bring in the sales tax, but might be a little bit of a challenge. You might have to kind of pull back a little bit on some of the expenses that we might want to do and kind of be a little more conservative if we really are in a true recession.
Thank you. Mr. Dieterich.
Yeah, I believe unless the complete bottom falls out of the community, that we're still going to be in good shape. We have high home values that brings in high taxes, but we also, want to limit those as much as we can because the town would be in, have to tighten their belts, but we also have to look at the community and because they have to tighten their belts too, and we have to look at ways in there to try to help them if we can. Given the economy, we're in a good space right now. As Dr. K said, we may be in a recession right now, and so we're actually in a good place. We have good income in the community, and we're doing well with that. The one thing that we need to do, make sure also, is no debt. When the economy has problems and you have debt, that's when you get into trouble. So we need to keep that with no debt, and I think that we'll be in pretty good shape.
Thank you. Ms. Brittain.
Can you repeat the question, please?
I surely will. Double Oak's finances are in good shape, but if the economy heads into a recession and revenues drop, what actions would you propose to maintain our low property tax rate?
Well, I think before we get to that point, we need to be proactive with our current budget and look at what we have. Yes, we are debt-free, and that is thanks to a lot of hard work from former council members and mayors that have maintained that debt-free status. We do have a balanced budget. Our CD balance as of 12 of 23 was over $400,000. Our current tax rate for 2023 is at 0.178. We also have SLFR fund balance of roughly $290,000, which will need to spend or be depleted by 2026. And yes, we have a surplus. We carry more than the minimum, the 25% needed or suggested for a 3 months fund balance, so to speak. We have well over that, and we need to be conscious of that and not think, oh, we have extra money, so we need to spend it. We need to hold on to that and manage it wisely for large expenditures that are going to be coming our way within the next 2 to 5 years.
And Ms. Hillyer.
I agree with most of what's been said. Obviously, if a recession comes and revenues would decline, and as Mark said, we have to tighten our belts, we really need to tighten our belts and look at what we absolutely have to spend money on and what maybe we can defer. And I don't ever like to defer because deferring maintenance means that it could get more expensive with the passage of time. But sometimes you have to do that, at least temporarily, and then play catch up. I will remind people that Resolution 17.01 is on the town of Double Oak is that we would strive to maintain a yearly assigned and unassigned fund balance in the general fund of 55 to 75% of the total operating expenditures. We have that kind of money now, but if we have to dip into it, it could vanish rapidly. As my father used to say, the best time to save and be fiscally responsible is when you don't have to. So let's continue what past councils have done and be very careful with our spending today so that we never get in that corner.
And Ms. Barrow, you'll close this question out, please.
That's absolutely right. We have to be very careful with those funds. I know with my husband and I, he's reaching up to that golden age of 65 where we can freeze our property taxes. And I know that there's a certain portion of Double Oak where citizens are doing the same thing. Those taxes will never go up. So we can't rely on those property taxes going up on those particular houses. And that is going to have an impact on Double Oak. Also, we have to remember that we now have an EMS contract that's going to step up 3 times that we are going to have to work into our budget. And as much as we're talking about how great it's going to be able to take care of the potholes on Kings Road and work on the drainage in Double Oak, those are really big ticket items, and we are not saving for those. The Kings Road line item has $190,000 in it, and that's it.
Thank you. And our last question. Yeah, you started that one, didn't you, Mr.
I did.
Robertson?
I
Thank
already
you.
did that one.
I've even got it written down. So, okay, so this is the one we've been looking for, right? The last question. Dr. K, what is the biggest issue in this council election that has not been discussed tonight?
I think it just goes back to one of the previous questions you stated about just, the contentions when it's an election period. I think we just all need to do a better job of being polite with each other and respectful of each other and each other's thoughts and opinions, and just working our way to just be better citizens for the citizens of Double Oak, and for just being, better citizens of the world. So I would say if we can just work on that, then, we're all going to try to do the best for our town. That's what, that we're all here because we want to do that. So let's do that. Let's be the best that we can be for Double Oak.
Certainly. Thank you. Mr. Dieterich.
I think the one thing that we haven't talked about is the modernization of the town hall and the organization within it. It has been, we've done that somewhat with the time cards and things like that, but there's going to be a little bit in there that we're going to have to modernize City Hall, modernize the processes to simplify things for the community. It's going to be a little bit of an output in the beginning to do that, but then on the long run, it actually saves money. So I think the town manager and things like that, when we hire that person, that is going to be a role that they need to do, to look at processes and procedures and things like that with town hall, and also modernization of our rules and regulations and fees. When I heard that for a septic is going to cost $500, where does that money go, and why does the city need to charge that much for regulations? And I think that needs to be looked at and addressed too.
Thank you. Ms. Brittain.
I think that this may not have been discussed or an issue, but I think the most important issue for me is the council and mayor must remain true to serving the residents. When you take on a position, there's an oath taken that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of town council member or mayor of the town of Double Oak, the state of Texas, to the best of my ability. Which means for me, putting aside all outside agendas and coming prepared with the knowledge of items that will be discussed at each of the meetings, doing your homework, coming prepared to listen with an open mind to all aspects of the town's initiatives, finding the best solutions for the current and state future of Double Oak is the priority.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Hillyer.
I'm very partial to volunteers because I have observed since before I got on council that this town runs heavily on volunteers, not only on volunteers, but heavily. And being on the Roads and Drainage Committee and now just roads, I've noticed that, a number of members are aging out. They're saying, okay, I've done my time. I've done this for a number of years, and it's time to pass the baton. Only we are out recruiting people to pass the baton on to the next generation. We did find one for the Drainage Committee last year when I was out campaigning for mayor. But that remains a committee of one. Committee of one is a hard work and a lot of heavy lifting. So we need volunteers. We need to actively recruit people and educate them and train them and mentor them into our committees, including drainage, roads, our investment committee, ordinances. These people are a valuable resource for Double Oak. They're part of what brings Double Oak together and what makes us a great town to live in. So we need to focus on engaging with younger residents to continue the tradition of active resident participation.
Thank you.
Because participation also means buy-in.
Thank you. Ms. Barrow.
Double Oak is a small town. Still, not everyone gets updates on the town news. I'm concerned the email blasts sent out from the town hall every week do not reach everyone. After all, you have to sign up for it. We have a town website and we have a town Facebook page, but not everyone uses those tools. There are monthly articles in the Cross Timbers Gazette, which gets wide coverage. Most townspeople I've spoken to rely mostly on the Cross Timbers Gazette. Face-to-face meetings are most effective. Possibly setting a monthly or quarterly meet and greet or coffees within our neighborhoods would bring residents and town leaders closer.
Thank you. And Ms. Robertson, if you'd close us out.
Okay. I see the same faces. I'm going to echo a little bit of what has been said before, but the same faces are at the council meetings, and we haven't recruited any of our new residents. A lot of our folks that have just moved in, some younger families that are starting to move in, are not really engaged. They don't really understand what's going on, or not interested, or feel like I'm not going to know anybody except if my neighbors don't come. So how do we get that community engagement involved and more people involved? not just so they can volunteer on a committee. Maybe they don't have time, so they don't want to come because they don't want to get sucked into a committee. We just need to make sure that they feel like it's a warm and welcoming place to come to share experiences or have their voice heard, or really just to meet members of the community. So I think the community involvement and engagement is really actually pretty low in Double Oak, and I'd like to see it go up.
Thank you. Last opportunity for any rebuttal. Yes, ma'am.
I'll just add on to what Janet just mentioned about volunteerism, as well as Jean. This town was founded on volunteerism. We didn't have council members. We had aldermen when we formed this town 50 years ago. Those gentlemen formed a committee and would go out and fill potholes on their own. They would service the community as a volunteer. So volunteerism and getting people involved has been a huge part of the establishment of this town that needs to be upgraded.
Thank you. So we will conclude now with closing statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute for their closing statement, and we will actually reverse the order. And Ms. Hillyer, you will begin for us, please.
Okay. As a retiree, I don't have to make choices between work and serving the needs of Double Oak. In the last 2 years, I've dedicated myself full-time to serving the town with integrity, honesty, and humility, and want to continue to do so. I'm passionate about preserving the small town country feel that we know and love. I believe in and will continue to practice fiscally responsible spending, transparency in all of my actions, and will continue to be responsive to requests from citizens. Double Oak is an oasis in the midst of growth and development all around us, and we really want to maintain that. I will continue to focus on essential services, prioritizing keeping our property taxes low and maintaining our infrastructure. I'll continue to actively support and engage with our police and fire departments. My commitment to Double Oak is what is in the best interests of the town, avoiding pet projects that are nice to have but not essential. We have substantial impending expenses to maintain Kings Road and an obligation to resolve drainage issues that are the responsibility of the town. Both of these projects far exceed the financial assets of Double Oak at this time. Your vote for me is my commitment to keeping Double Oak well-maintained and debt-free. My promise to you is to listen, keep an open mind, follow the facts, and vote accordingly.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Brittain.
Double Oak first. Serving the residents of Double Oak is my highest priority. If elected to serve, I will be financially responsible with your dollars. I will work to continue to improve our roads, drainage, and town infrastructure. I will work toward goals which are beneficial to every resident. Be open and available to all residents to listen to your concerns and issues. I will support our Double Oak Police Department and volunteer fire department. I will serve and represent the town with integrity, ethical conduct, and impartialness. No personal agendas, no outside influences. Double Oak first. Experience matters. Experience with leadership matters even more. With my former service as a town council member, I bring knowledge, leadership skills, and commitment to serve all residents. With these combined attributes, I am your best choice for your town council member. Cast your vote for Ginger Brittain, number 5, on your ballot. Double Oak first.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Dieterich.
Hi, thank you again for coming tonight. We talked about a lot of different items tonight: the town infrastructure, budgets, compensation, town management, and actions for the economy as it changes. I'm sure the residents may have more concerns on the topics, and I'm here to listen to what residents' concerns, and that's one of my roles in paying attention to what the community needs. My focus will be to expand businesses along the 407 to help lower the residents' tax burden, increase accountability in all aspects of town hall, focus on our public safety, our police, our fire, and our EMS. We also need to address our roads and drainage, as this directly impacts our residents in our community. I think we need to work better, as Jean said, on getting residents informed on volunteer opportunities. And we need to work on, like I stated before, our taxes and business development. I humbly ask for your vote. I am endorsed by the Denton County Conservative Coalition, as are Janet and Dr. K. And
Thank you,
I am
Mr.
number
Dieterich.
4 on the ballot.
Thank you. Dr. K.
Okay, as we come to a close of this forum, I am reminded of the profound responsibility we all share as citizens to shape the future of our communities. Throughout this discussion, I've strived to convey my unwavering commitment to honesty, accountability, and integrity. I am currently on the Double Oak Town Council and have strived my best to maintain these attributes. I have been endorsed by the Denton County Conservative Coalition, which works to help vet those running for public office to ensure we are what we claim to be. I've been out in the community. When people say we need to get more volunteers out there, I've just this week I've sent out the application for volunteers to at least 5 different people, and they're all younger people. So I have a big interest in bringing young people into town council. But I pledge to continue advocating for our citizens, and I'm putting a stop to those who wish to derail our town. My goal is to protect Double Oak and preserve its rural country feel far into the future. I chose to live in Double Oak because I want my children and hopefully grandchildren to grow up this way. Thank you for your time, and please vote for Dr. K, ballot position number 3 for Double Oak Town Council.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Robertson.
Hey, thanks everybody for being here today and allowing me the opportunity to share my vision and aspirations for our community. Throughout this campaign, I've had the pleasure of meeting several of you, a lot of new faces, and listening to your concerns, understanding the issues that really matter most to you. I look forward to getting to know more of you over the next couple of weeks and hopefully into the years to come. I stand here for you today as a candidate for Double Oak Town Council, not just seeking your votes, but asking for your trust and confidence. I'm not here to make empty promises or offer quick fixes. Real progress takes time, effort, and dedication. But I assure you that I will be a tireless advocate for our small town, working diligently to achieve our shared goals. I will be present, accessible, and accountable, always striving to serve you and the residents and with commitment and integrity. As we approach Election Day, I humbly ask for your vote, position number 2 on the ballot. I'm grateful for your consideration, your engagement, and the dedication to our community. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Robertson. And Ms. Barrow.
Over the past 2 years, I have watched our town leadership become distracted. I've witnessed how it's taken a toll on our town and the people who live here, and it breaks my heart. I've reached out to members in our community to try and find solutions to this problem, and through this process, it's been decided the best option would be to put forth qualified candidates who will focus on what's truly important to this town and its future. I may be plain spoken, but I have a full heart, and it's here in Double Oak. I want to serve on our town council and help refocus its commitment to this town and the people who live and work here. We've got a wonderful place here in Double Oak, and I want to make sure it stays that way. Please vote for me, Jaquelyne Barrow, Space 1.
Thank you, Ms. Barrow. Candidates, thank you for a great evening. Please celebrate them with a round of applause. And also our very skilled timekeeper, Matt. As a reminder, early voting starts this Monday, April 22nd, and ends on Tuesday, April 30. Election Day is Saturday, May 4th. Visit votedenton.gov or call 940-349-3200 for voting information. Also, please visit the Cross Timbers Gazette website at www.crosstimbersgazette.com for the latest Southern Denton County news, updates daily. Local lives here. This concludes the program this evening. Thank you, candidates. Thank you, Town of Double Oak, and thank you all for attending.